Robert sat alone in his farmhouse, the air heavy with memories of better days. The place had once been full of life, with Emily's laughter echoing through the halls. But now silence reigned.
No flowers. No warmth.
Just the echo of emptiness and solitude. Robert wandered the rooms, feeling the weight of her absence. But then, one stormy night, a knock on the door broke the stillness. An unexpected visitor seeking refuge. He thought he was destined for loneliness. But life had other plans. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from, and subscribe if you believe in the power of unexpected connections. Robert lived alone on his farm. It used to be a lively place. Emily, his wife, had loved the farm. She planted flowers, kept animals, and made the farmhouse warm and welcoming. But Emily had passed away. Now the farm was quiet and neglected. Weeds grew everywhere, and the fences were broken. Robert spent his days working out of habit more than necessity. The joy of farming had left with Emily. Robert's routine was simple. He woke up early, drank coffee, and walked through the fields. He fed the few animals he still kept. His days were long and lonely. He missed Emily every day. Her laughter, her voice, and her presence haunted the empty rooms. He kept a photo of her on the mantelpiece, a reminder of the life they shared. One evening, a storm rolled in. The wind howled, and rain battered the windows. Robert sat by the fire, lost in thought. The storm reminded him of how small and alone he felt. As he sat there, he heard a knock at the door. It was faint at first, almost lost in the noise of the wind. But then it came again, more insistent. Robert hesitated. He wasn't used to visitors, especially not in weather like this. But the knocking continued, and he finally rose from his chair. His knees creaked as he walked to the door. When he opened it, he was surprised by what he saw. A woman stood there, soaked to the bone. She held a small child in each arm, and a third clung to her leg. They were shivering, their clothes wet and muddy. The woman's face was pale, and her eyes were wide with fear and desperation. Robert's heart went out to them. He could see they were in trouble. Without a word, he stepped aside and let them in. The children huddled close to the fire, their teeth chattering. Robert fetched blankets, wrapping them around the little ones. The woman's name was Sophia. Her children were Jonah, Lily, and Ben. They looked frightened and tired. Robert could tell they hadn't eaten well in days. He offered them food from his modest pantry. The children ate hungrily, and Sophia watched them with worried eyes. As the storm raged outside, Sophia began to tell her story. She and the children had been traveling for days. They had left their home in the middle of the night, escaping from a situation she didn't want to talk about. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Robert could see the fear in her eyes and the weariness in her posture. Sophia's story touched Robert deeply. It reminded him of his own struggles after Emily's death. He understood what it meant to feel lost and scared. He felt a connection to Sophia and her children, a bond born from shared hardship. As the night wore on, Robert found himself remembering his life with Emily, the happy times and the struggles they faced together. He realized how much he missed the feeling of having a family. Watching Sophia with her children stirred something inside him. It was a feeling he thought he had lost forever. The storm outside showed no sign of letting up. Robert knew he couldn't send Sophia and the children back out into the night. They needed shelter, at least until the weather cleared. He offered them a place to stay, knowing it was the right thing to do. Sophia looked at him with grateful eyes. She accepted his offer, relief washing over her face. The children, exhausted and full, began to doze off by the fire. Sophia tucked them in with a tenderness that reminded Robert of Emily. As the rain continued to fall, Robert reflected on the unexpected turn his life had taken. He hadn't planned on having visitors, let alone a woman and her 3 children. But as he watched them sleeping, he felt something shift inside him. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew that he wasn't alone anymore, at least for now. The night grew quieter as the storm began to pass. Robert sat in his chair, listening to the soft breathing of the children. Sophia rested nearby, her eyes closing as she drifted into sleep. For the first time in a long time, the farmhouse felt alive again. The presence of others, even strangers, filled the empty spaces with warmth. Robert knew that challenges lay ahead. Sophia's story hinted at troubles not easily solved. But for now they had shelter and safety. They had each other. It was a small beginning, but a beginning nonetheless. As dawn approached, the storm clouds slowly parted. The first light of day crept through the windows, casting a gentle glow in the room. Robert looked around at the sleeping figures. The farmhouse, once silent and still, now felt like a place of refuge. He rose quietly, careful not to wake them. He added more wood to the fire, ensuring it would keep burning through the morning. Then, he stepped outside, breathing in the fresh, rain-soaked air. The world felt new, washed clean by the night storm. Standing there, Robert thought of Emily. He felt her presence in the gentle rustle of the leaves and the soft chirping of the birds. He hoped she would understand why he had opened his home to Sophia and the children. He believed she would approve. Emily had always been kind and generous, opening her heart to those in need. Robert turned back to the house, ready to face the day. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in years he felt a sense of purpose. He had people to care for, and they needed him as much as he needed them. As he stepped back inside, he felt a calmness settle over him. He was no longer just Robert, the widower living alone on a rundown farm. He was part of something larger, part of a fragile yet hopeful family. And for now, that was enough. Robert woke up early the next morning. The storm had passed, leaving a clear sky. He moved quietly around the farmhouse, trying not to wake Sophia and the children. As he prepared breakfast, he thought about what lay ahead. He knew he had to figure out how to help his unexpected guests. Sophia and the children woke up as the smell of pancakes filled the air. The children rubbed their eyes, still sleepy but drawn by the promise of food. Sophia helped them wash up, guiding them to the table where Robert had set out plates. The children ate with eagerness. Their plates cleared quickly. Robert watched them, a mix of emotions stirring inside him. They were so small and vulnerable, yet their presence filled the room with a bright energy. Sophia sat silently, sipping coffee. She seemed more relaxed now, though the lines of worry were still etched on her face. After breakfast, Robert decided to show Sophia and the children around the farm. He thought it might help them feel more at ease. The fields were still wet from the storm, but the sun was warm. The children followed him eagerly, their curiosity evident in their wide eyes. Robert explained the farm to the children. He pointed out the barn, the chicken coop, and the garden. Jonah, the oldest, seemed especially interested. He asked questions about the animals and the crops, and Robert answered patiently, enjoying the boy's enthusiasm. Sophia watched from a distance, her eyes following her children as they explored. She seemed relieved to see them smiling and engaged. Robert noticed her watching and gave her a reassuring nod. They were safe here, at least for now. As the day went on, Robert found himself enjoying the company. The children brought life to the farm, and Sophia's quiet presence was comforting. There was still much he didn't know about her, but he sensed a strength in her that he respected. Later, as the sun began to set, Sophia approached Robert. She wanted to thank him for opening his home to them. Her voice was soft but steady. She explained that they had left a bad situation, one she hoped to never return to. Her words were careful, revealing only enough to convey her gratitude without reliving the pain. Robert listened, nodding in understanding. He didn't press her for details. He knew what it was like to carry heavy burdens, and he respected her privacy. Instead, he assured her that she and the children could stay as long as they needed. The farm had room for them and he could use the help. Sophia smiled, a small but genuine smile, and for the first time, Robert saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes. It was a start, a small step toward healing and rebuilding. As night fell, the farmhouse settled into a peaceful rhythm. The children played quietly in the living room, their laughter a soft background to the evening. Robert and Sophia sat together, sharing a simple meal and talking about the farm. She offered to help with the cooking and cleaning, eager to contribute in any way she could. Robert accepted her offer, grateful for the help. He realized that her presence, and that of the children, was beginning to fill the emptiness left by Emily. It was different, but it was good. The days turned into weeks, and slowly, a routine formed. Sophia took charge of the kitchen, her meals bringing warmth and comfort. The children found new adventures each day, their laughter echoing through the fields. Robert taught Jonah how to mend fences and care for the animals. Lily and Ben followed him around, asking endless questions about the farm. Robert found himself looking forward to each day. The work seemed easier with Sophia and the children there. The farm started to come alive again, the weeds pulled and the fences repaired. It was still a long way from its former glory, but it was a start. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Sophia thanked Robert again. She told him how much it meant to her and the children to have a safe place to stay. Her words were simple, but they carried a weight of sincerity that touched Robert deeply. He realized that he had come to care for Sophia and the children. They were no longer just guests. They were becoming part of his life. It was a surprising realization, one that filled him with both joy and apprehension. Robert knew that the road ahead would not be easy. Sophia's past was a shadow that lingered, and he could see the occasional fear in her eyes. But he also saw her determination, and he admired her for it. As the fire crackled and the children began to drift off to sleep, Robert thought about the future. He didn't have all the answers, but he knew one thing for certain. He wanted Sophia and the children to stay. They had brought light back into his life, a light he hadn't known he needed. Sophia seemed to read his thoughts. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the firelight. There was a silent understanding between them, a recognition of shared struggles and hopes. They were two people brought together by chance, but they were no longer strangers. In the quiet of the night, with the farmhouse warm and filled with the soft sounds of breathing, Robert felt a peace he hadn't known in years. It was a fragile peace, but it was real. He knew that the journey was just beginning, but he was ready to face it. With Sophia and the children by his side, he felt stronger, more alive. The farm was no longer just a reminder of loss. It was a place of new beginnings. And in that moment, Robert knew that he had found something precious. A second chance, a new family, and a reason to hope again. The days on the farm settled into a comforting routine. Robert found himself waking up with a renewed sense of purpose. Each morning, he would prepare breakfast with Sophia, their movements in the kitchen becoming synchronized over time. The children would trickle in, still sleepy-eyed but full of energy, ready for the day. Sophia took over the kitchen tasks with ease. She cooked meals that filled the farmhouse with rich, welcoming aromas. Her presence seemed to bring order and warmth to the space. Robert watched her work, grateful for her help and the new life she brought into his home. The children brought a lively chaos that Robert had forgotten. Jonah, the oldest, was eager to learn everything about farm life. He followed Robert around, watching and listening intently. Robert began to teach him simple tasks, like mending broken fences and feeding the animals. Jonah's eagerness to learn made the work feel lighter, and Robert enjoyed having a companion during his daily chores. Lily and Ben, the younger ones, were full of questions and wonder. They explored every corner of the farm, their laughter echoing through the fields. They would chase each other around the barn or sit quietly, watching the chickens peck at the ground. Robert found their curiosity refreshing, a reminder of the world through a child's eyes. Sophia watched her children with a mix of relief and happiness. She saw them thriving in the fresh air and open spaces. It was a sharp contrast to the fear and uncertainty they had left behind. She often joined them in their play, her laughter mingling with theirs. Robert noted the change in her, the way her face softened and her eyes brightened when she looked at her children. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between Robert and Sophia grew. It was unspoken but undeniable. They worked side by side, sharing stories about their pasts and dreams for the future. Robert found himself drawn to her resilience and quiet strength. She had faced many challenges, Yet she moved forward with a calm determination that impressed him. Sophia, in turn, saw in Robert a gentle kindness she hadn't expected. He was patient with the children, answering their endless questions and guiding them with care. She appreciated his steady presence, knowing it offered a sense of security that was new to her and the children. One afternoon, while the children played nearby, Sophia and Robert sat on the porch. The sun was warm, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. Sophia spoke about her hopes for the future, her voice soft but hopeful. She wanted a stable life for her children, a place where they could grow and learn without fear. Robert listened, nodding. He shared his own hopes, his desire to see the farm flourish again. He spoke of Emily and how much she had loved the farm. Sophia listened intently, understanding the depth of his loss. They sat in silence for a while, each lost in their thoughts but comforted by the other's presence. As the sun began to set, the children ran up to the porch, their faces flushed with excitement. They had found a hidden corner of the garden, a place that had been overgrown and forgotten. They wanted to turn it into their own little spot, a space where they could plant flowers and watch them grow. Robert smiled at their enthusiasm. He agreed to help them clear the area, seeing it as a chance to teach them more about the land. Sophia joined in, her hands working alongside the children's as they pulled weeds and turned the soil. It was a simple task, but it brought them all together, a shared project that hinted at the start of something new. Over time, the garden transformed. The children planted seeds, their small hands carefully covering them with earth. They watered the plants, checking each day for signs of growth. Robert watched with pride as they worked, their joy infectious. The garden became a symbol of their new life, a place where hope and renewal took root. It was a small patch of land, but it held a big meaning for all of them. It was a reminder of what they had left behind and what they were building together. As the garden flourished, so did the bonds between Robert, Sophia, and the children. They were no longer just individuals thrown together by circumstance. They were becoming a family, each finding their place within the group. Robert felt a warmth in his heart he hadn't experienced since Emily's passing. It was a warmth born from connection and shared purpose. The farmhouse was filled with laughter and life, a stark contrast to the silence that had once dominated its halls. Sophia found solace in the routine of farm life. She saw her children thriving, and it gave her the strength to keep moving forward. The fear that had once gripped her began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of belonging. As the summer days stretched on, Robert and Sophia spent more time together. They talked about the future, their conversations touching on dreams they hadn't dared to speak out loud before. Robert realized he wanted Sophia and the children to stay, to be a permanent part of his life. Sophia shared her own hopes anxiously, aware of the fragility of happiness. She had learned not to take anything for granted, but here on the farm, she allowed herself to dream. She saw a future where her children could grow without fear, where they could learn and explore in safety. With each passing day, the farm became more than just a place to live. It became a haven, a home. It was a place where love and laughter filled the rooms, where the past was honored but not allowed to overshadow the present. Robert knew that the journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, but he felt ready to face them. With Sophia and the children by his side, he felt stronger, more grounded. They were building something special together, a family formed by choice and bound by love. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Robert and Sophia stood side by side, watching the children chase fireflies in the fading light. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, a beautiful end to a day filled with hard work and companionship. In that moment, Robert knew that they had found something precious. It was a new beginning, a chance to heal old wounds and create a future full of promise. They were no longer just individuals finding their way. They were a family, and together, they could face whatever came next. Robert stood at the edge of the garden, watching as the children played nearby. Jonah was showing Lily and Ben how to make a daisy chain, their laughter rising into the warm air. It was a beautiful day, but Robert's mind was elsewhere. Memories of Emily had been surfacing more often, especially since Sophia and the children had come into his life. He thought about Emily every day. Her presence was still felt in every corner of the farm. The garden she had loved, the kitchen she had filled with warmth, the fields where they had worked together. Robert had tried to keep everything the same after she passed, but time had a way of changing things. Now, with Sophia and the children, the farm was alive again, but it was different. Robert struggled with feelings of guilt. He worried that letting himself care for Sophia and the children meant he was forgetting Emily. It was a confusing mix of emotions, one he found hard to untangle. He loved Emily deeply, and her absence was a constant ache. But he also cared for Sophia and the children. They had brought light back into his life, a light he hadn't expected. Sophia noticed Robert's quietness. She could sense the conflict within him, though he never spoke of it. She respected his silence, knowing that some things took time to process. But she also knew that holding on to the past could be as painful as letting it go. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sophia found Robert standing by Emily's grave. It was a small, simple plot at the edge of the garden, marked by a wooden cross Robert had carved himself. He stood there, lost in thought, the sun casting long shadows around him. Sophia approached quietly, not wanting to intrude. But Robert turned as she neared, acknowledging her presence with a nod. They stood together in silence, the air cool and still. Sophia felt the weight of his sorrow, a tangible thing that hung between them. Finally, Robert spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. He confessed his fears of moving on, of forgetting Emily. He admitted that he felt torn, caught between the past and the present. It was a vulnerable moment, one that opened a window into his heart. Sophia listened, her own heart aching for him. She understood loss, the way it clung to you, the way it shaped your days. She shared her own fears, her worries about being enough for her children, about building a future when the past was still so close. Their shared vulnerability created a deeper connection. It was a moment of truth, one that brought them closer together. They understood each other's fears, and in that understanding, they found comfort. Robert realized that caring for Sophia and the children didn't mean he was forgetting Emily. It meant he was honoring her memory by living the life they had both loved. Emily had always been open-hearted, welcoming others with warmth and generosity. Robert knew she would have welcomed Sophia and the children too. As they stood there, Sophia reached out and took Robert's hand. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes. They were two people who had experienced deep loss, yet here they were, finding solace in each other. It was a new beginning, built on a foundation of shared experiences and mutual respect. The children called to them from the garden, their voices bright and cheerful. Robert and Sophia turned, leaving the past behind for the moment. They joined the children, their presence a reminder of the present and the hope it held. That night, as the farmhouse settled into its nighttime rhythm, Robert sat by the fire. He held Emily's photo in his hands, the familiar image bringing a soft smile to his face. He spoke to her in the quiet of the room, sharing his thoughts and hopes. He knew she would understand. Sophia sat nearby, her own thoughts drifting. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that Robert had opened up to her. She respected his journey, aware that healing took time. But she also felt hopeful, knowing that they were moving forward together. As the days passed, Robert found it easier to embrace the changes in his life. He watched Sophia with the children, her love for them evident in every gesture. He saw how they looked to him as a father figure, their trust in him growing each day. It was a role he hadn't expected, but one he found himself cherishing. The farm continued to thrive, the garden a testament to the life they were building. The children tended to their plants, their small patch of land blooming with color. It was a symbol of their journey, a reminder of the new beginnings they had found. Robert realized that his heart had room for more than just memories. There was space for new love, new connections. He could honor Emily while also embracing the future. It was a delicate balance, but one he was willing to navigate. Sophia felt a similar shift. She had come to the farm seeking refuge, but she had found so much more. She had found a community, a place where her children could grow and learn. She had found Robert, a man who understood her in ways she hadn't expected. Together, they faced each day with a sense of purpose. They knew there would be challenges, but they also knew they were not alone. They had each other and they had the children. They were a family, brought together by chance but held together by choice. As the sun set each evening, Robert and Sophia would sit on the porch, watching the world around them. The farm was quiet, the fields stretching out under the starlit sky. It was a peaceful scene, one that reminded them of the journey they had taken. In those moments, they found a sense of contentment. The past was a part of them, but it no longer defined them. They were living in the present, building a future filled with hope and possibility. It was a journey they were on together, and for that they were grateful. Life on the farm had found a rhythm. Robert, Sophia, and the children had settled into their roles, each day bringing a mix of hard work and simple joys. The farm was alive with energy, the garden blooming under the children's care, and the fields tended with Robert's guidance. There was laughter, warmth, and a sense of peace that felt earned. But peace can be fragile. One afternoon, as Robert and Jonah repaired a fence on the far side of the property, a figure appeared on the horizon. Robert shaded his eyes against the sun, a frown creasing his forehead. The figure grew clearer as it approached, and Robert's unease deepened. Sophia was in the kitchen, her hands busy kneading dough for bread. The children played outside under the sun, their laughter mingling with the chirping of birds. Everything seemed perfect, but the approaching stranger carried a tension that soon reached the farmhouse. The man was tall, his face shadowed by a wide-brimmed hat. He walked with purpose, his steps deliberate and firm. Robert recognized him from the description Sophia had given during their late-night talks. It was Mark, Sophia's estranged husband. Sophia froze when she saw him. Her hands stopped moving, the dough forgotten. Fear crossed her face, a familiar dread settling in her stomach. The children, sensing a change, gathered close to her, their eyes wide and questioning. Mark's arrival was a storm cloud over their fragile peace. He stopped a few feet from the porch, his expression unreadable. Sophia stepped outside, her heart pounding. She had hoped this day would never come, but here it was, standing before her. Robert joined her, his presence a silent support. He stood firm, a protective barrier between Mark and the family he had come to care for. Mark's eyes flicked between them, his gaze hardening. Mark claimed he wanted his family back. His words were smooth, but Sophia knew better. She remembered the control he had once held over her life, the shadow he had cast. She could see through his charm, recognizing the manipulation beneath. Sophia's voice was steady as she spoke, refusing to be intimidated. She told Mark that they were no longer part of his life, that they were building something new here. Her hands rested on the children's shoulders, grounding them, reminding them they were safe. Mark's expression shifted, anger flashing in his eyes. He stepped forward, but Robert held his ground. He made it clear that Mark was not welcome, that he would not allow him to disrupt the life they were building. The confrontation was tense, the air heavy with unspoken threats. The children clung to Sophia, their trust in her and Robert unwavering. They understood more than their years suggested, sensing the danger Mark represented. Mark's presence forced everyone to confront their fears. For Sophia, it was a reminder of a past she had worked hard to escape. For Robert, it was a test of his protective instincts and the depth of his feelings for Sophia and the children. Sophia knew she couldn't face this alone. She turned to Robert, her eyes meeting his. There was a silent plea in her gaze, a request for support and solidarity. Robert nodded, his stance firm and resolute. They were in this together. Mark left, but his parting words were a reminder that he would not give up easily. Sophia watched him go, her emotions a mix of relief and lingering fear. She knew this was not the end, but she felt stronger with Robert by her side. That evening, the farmhouse was quieter than usual. The children sensed the tension, their play subdued. Robert and Sophia sat together, the weight of the day's events heavy between them. Sophia confessed her fears to Robert, her voice barely above a whisper. She worried about Mark's return, about the safety of her children. Robert listened, his hand resting on hers. He promised to protect them, to stand by her no matter what. The bond between them grew stronger. The shared experience, though frightening, had brought them closer. They found solace in each other's presence, a reminder that they were not alone. The days that followed were filled with a new awareness. They worked together, keeping an eye on the horizon, ready for any sign of Mark's return. The community noticed the change, offering support in quiet ways. Neighbors stopped by more often, their presence a comfort and a warning to any unwelcome visitors. Sophia found strength in the community's support. She realized that she was not alone, that she had people who cared, who would stand with her. It was a new feeling, one that brought a sense of belonging she hadn't known before. Robert continued to care for the farm and the family, his resolve unwavering. He saw the children thriving despite the shadow of Mark's threats. They laughed and played, their spirits resilient. It was a testament to the strength of the family they had built. Sophia watched Robert with gratitude and admiration. He had stepped into a role he hadn't expected, providing stability and love. She saw the way the children looked up to him, the way they listened to his stories and sought his guidance. It was a beautiful thing to witness, a new kind of family formed from unexpected connections. As the days turned into weeks, the tension began to ease. The farm returned to its familiar rhythm, the fields alive with growth and the farmhouse filled with warmth. Sophia and Robert found moments of peace amidst the uncertainty, their bond a source of strength. They knew that Mark might return, that the threat was not entirely gone. But they also knew they were not alone. They had each other, the children, and the support of a community that had embraced them. In the quiet moments, Sophia and Robert would sit together, watching the sunset paint the sky. It was a time to reflect, to dream of a future where fear no longer held them captive. They found hope in the small things, in the laughter of the children, in the growing garden, in the simple beauty of each day. Together, they faced the challenges ahead with courage and determination. They were a family, bound by choice and love, ready to protect what they had built. The road might be uncertain, but they were not afraid. They had each other, and that was enough. The days after Mark's visit were tense. His return had stirred up old fears and brought new challenges. Sophia and Robert knew they had to stay vigilant and strong, not just for themselves but for the children. The farm continued to be their haven, but it was now also a place of preparation. Robert felt the weight of his role as a protector. He had promised Sophia that he would stand by her and the children, and he intended to keep that promise. He found himself checking the boundaries of the farm more often, ensuring everything was secure. He kept a watchful eye on the road, ready for any sign of trouble. Sophia faced her own internal battle. Mark's arrival had shaken her, reminding her of the control he once had over her life. She fought against the fear that threatened to paralyze her, focusing instead on the life she was building with Robert and the children. She knew she couldn't let the past dictate her future. The children sensed the tension but found comfort in the routine of farm life. They continued to play and learn, their innocence a balm to the worry that lingered in the air. Jonah, Lily, and Ben looked to Robert as a father figure, their trust in him growing each day. Robert found himself growing more attached to the children. He enjoyed teaching Jonah about the farm, answering Lily's endless questions, and watching Ben's curious exploration of the fields. Their presence reminded him of the joy of family, a feeling he had missed since Emily's passing. Sophia and Robert spent their evenings talking, sharing their thoughts and fears. The farmhouse, once silent, was now filled with the quiet conversations of two people navigating a new life together. They found strength in each other, their bond deepening with every challenge they faced. Mark's threats loomed over them, a shadow that refused to fade. His words had been clear. He wanted his family back. Sophia knew that he wouldn't give up easily, and the thought of another confrontation filled her with dread. One evening, as they sat on the porch, Sophia turned to Robert. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her uncertainty. She spoke about the possibility of having to face Mark again, her fears for the children's safety. She asked Robert what they would do if Mark returned, if he tried to take the children away. Robert listened, his expression serious. He assured Sophia that they would not face this alone. The community had rallied around them, offering support and protection. They had legal options, avenues they could explore to ensure the children's safety. Sophia nodded, taking comfort in his words. She knew they had allies, but the thought of a legal battle was daunting. It was a path she hadn't anticipated, one that would require strength and resilience. Robert and Sophia began to prepare for the possibility of a legal confrontation. They reached out to the townsfolk, seeking advice and assistance. The community responded with open arms, offering guidance and resources. They were not alone in this fight. As they gathered information and built their case, Robert and Sophia found moments of peace amidst the uncertainty. They took solace in the small joys of farm life, the laughter of the children, the beauty of the land. They knew that whatever happened, they would face it together. The children remained blissfully unaware of the full extent of the situation. To them, the farm was a place of adventure and learning. Jonah continued to work alongside Robert, his interest in farming growing each day. Lily and Ben followed Sophia, helping with the daily chores and exploring the garden. Sophia watched her children thrive, their resilience a testament to the stability they had found on the farm. It gave her hope, a reminder of why they were fighting. She was determined to protect the life they had built, to ensure a safe and happy future for her children. Robert found himself reflecting on his own journey. He thought about Emily, about the life they had shared. He realized that opening his heart to Sophia and the children didn't mean forgetting Emily. It meant honoring her memory by embracing the love and joy she had brought into his life. As the weeks passed, the tension began to ease. Sophia and Robert felt more prepared, more confident in their ability to face whatever came next. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but they were not afraid. One night, as they sat by the fire, Robert spoke about the future. He told Sophia that he wanted her and the children to be a permanent part of his life. It was a simple declaration, but it carried the weight of a promise. Sophia listened, her heart full. She had found something precious on the farm, a sense of belonging and love she hadn't expected. She knew that with Robert, they could face any challenge, build a future full of promise. The farmhouse, once a place of solitude, had become a home filled with laughter and love. It was a testament to the journey they had taken together, the resilience of their spirits. They were a family, bound by choice and strengthened by adversity. As the fire crackled and the night deepened, Sophia and Robert sat in comfortable silence. They knew that the future was uncertain, but they were ready to face it together. They had each other, the children, and the support of a community that had embraced them. It was more than they had dared to dream, and it was enough. The days grew longer, and the farm buzzed with the sounds of spring. The children played in the fields, their laughter floating on the breeze. Robert and Sophia worked side by side, tending to the land and planning for the future. Despite the shadow of uncertainty, life continued with a rhythm that felt steady and hopeful. The community around them had become a source of strength. After Mark's visit, the townsfolk had rallied around Robert and Sophia, offering their support in countless ways. Neighbors stopped by often, bringing baked goods and fresh produce, small gestures that spoke of solidarity and kindness. One afternoon, a group of townspeople gathered at the farm. They brought tools and supplies, ready to help repair the barn roof damaged by a storm. Robert was touched by their generosity, grateful for the outpouring of support. The barn had long been in need of repair, and this help was a blessing. The farm was alive with activity as everyone pitched in. Ladders were propped against the barn, and the sound of hammers echoed through the air. The children watched with wide eyes, fascinated by the bustle of work around them. Sophia helped by preparing food for the volunteers. She set up a table with sandwiches, fresh fruit, and lemonade. The children assisted, their small hands eager to help. It was a day filled with camaraderie and purpose, a reminder of the community they had become a part of. As they worked, Robert thought about the journey that had brought them here. He remembered the lonely days after Emily's passing, the silence that had filled the farmhouse. Now, the farm was a place of laughter and life, a testament to the power of connection and resilience. The townsfolk's support wasn't just physical. They offered advice and guidance, helping Robert and Sophia prepare for any legal challenges that might arise. There were conversations about custody laws and the steps needed to protect the children. It was complicated and daunting, but knowing they had allies made it less overwhelming. Sophia found strength in the community's embrace. She realized that she was not alone, that there were people who cared deeply about her family's well-being. It was a new feeling, one that filled her with a sense of belonging she hadn't known before. As the sun began to set, the volunteers gathered for a meal. They ate together under the open sky, sharing stories and laughter. It was a simple gathering, but it reinforced the bonds that had formed between them. Robert and Sophia sat with the group, their hearts full. They knew that the road ahead was uncertain, but the support of the community gave them hope. It reminded them that they were not alone in this fight, that there were people willing to stand with them. After the meal, as the volunteers packed up their tools, Robert took a moment to express his gratitude. He thanked them for their kindness and generosity, his voice filled with emotion. The townsfolk waved off his thanks, insisting that they were happy to help. That night, as the farmhouse settled into quiet, Robert and Sophia reflected on the day's events. The barn was repaired, the community's support a tangible reminder of the strength that comes from unity. Sophia spoke about her fears, her voice soft in the dim light. She worried about Mark's return, about the possibility of a legal battle. But she also spoke about the courage she had found, the determination to protect her children and the life they had built. Robert listened, his hand resting on hers. He shared his own thoughts, his commitment to stand by her no matter what. They were facing this together, and that knowledge brought a sense of peace. The days that followed were filled with preparations. Robert and Sophia continued to gather information, consulting with legal experts and community members. They wanted to be ready for any challenge, to protect the family they had created. The children remained blissfully unaware of the underlying tension. For them, the farm was a place of adventure and learning. They explored the fields, helped with chores, and spent hours in the garden, watching their plants grow. Sophia watched her children with a mix of pride and hope. They were thriving, their spirits unburdened by the worries of the adult world. It was a reminder of why they were fighting, a testament to the power of love and resilience. Robert found himself more attached to the children each day. He enjoyed their company, their questions, and their laughter. They brought a lightness to his life that he hadn't known he needed. The community continued to offer support, their presence a constant source of strength. They checked in regularly, offering assistance and encouragement. It was a reminder that they were not alone, that they were part of something larger than themselves. As the weeks passed, the tension began to ease. Robert and Sophia felt more prepared, more confident in their ability to face whatever came next. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but they were not afraid. One evening, as they sat on the porch, Robert spoke about the future. He told Sophia that he wanted her and the children to be a permanent part of his life. It was a simple declaration, but it carried the weight of a promise. Sophia listened, her heart full. She had found something precious on the farm, a sense of belonging and love she hadn't expected. She knew that with Robert, they could face any challenge, build a future full of promise. The farmhouse, once a place of solitude, had become a home filled with laughter and love. It was a testament to the journey they had taken together, the resilience of their spirits. They were a family, bound by choice and strengthened by adversity. As the fire crackled and the night deepened, Sophia and Robert sat in comfortable silence. They knew that the future was uncertain, but they were ready to face it together. They had each other, the children, and the support of a community that had embraced them. It was more than they had dared to dream, and it was enough. The day of the court hearing arrived, bringing with it a mix of nerves and determination. Sophia and Robert had prepared as best they could, gathering all necessary documents and statements. The community had rallied around them, providing support and encouragement. But now the moment of truth was here. Sophia felt a knot in her stomach as she dressed that morning. The children sensed something important was happening, but they didn't fully understand. Jonah, Lily, and Ben were staying with a trusted neighbor for the day, a kind woman named Mrs. Harris who lived nearby. Sophia and Robert assured the children that everything would be fine and that they would return soon. As they left the farm, Sophia took a deep breath. Robert's hand rested on her shoulder, a steady presence beside her. She drew strength from his calmness, grateful for his unwavering support. The courthouse was a modest building in town, its brick facade familiar yet imposing. As they entered, Robert and Sophia walked with purpose, their hearts set on protecting the family they had built. The hallway buzzed with activity, lawyers and clients moving about, each with their own stories and hopes. In the courtroom, they found their seats, waiting for the proceedings to begin. Mark was already there, sitting with his lawyer. His presence was a reminder of the challenge they faced, but Sophia refused to be intimidated. She focused on what mattered: her children and the life they had created on the farm. The judge entered, bringing the room to order. The hearing began, each side presenting their case. Sophia's lawyer, Mr. Thompson, spoke first. He was a kind man, recommended by the community. He presented evidence of the stable home Sophia and Robert provided, emphasizing the children's well-being and happiness. Sophia had prepared herself for this moment. She spoke clearly, her voice steady. She described the life they had built on the farm, the love and care the children received. Her words were simple but heartfelt, painting a picture of the family they had become. Mark's lawyer countered, presenting his client's desire for custody. He painted a different picture, one that Sophia barely recognized. But she remained composed, knowing that the truth was on her side. The community's support was evident throughout the hearing. Neighbors had provided written statements, testifying to the positive environment on the farm and the love Sophia and Robert shared with the children. These testimonies were powerful, underscoring the stability and security the children enjoyed. Robert spoke as well, his words measured and sincere. He described his role in the children's lives, the bond he had formed with them. He spoke of Emily, how she would have welcomed Sophia and the children with open arms. His voice carried the weight of a promise, a commitment to protect and nurture the family they had become. As the hearing progressed, Sophia felt a mix of emotions. There were moments of doubt, but also moments of hope. She watched Robert speak, his strength a beacon of reassurance. She knew they were doing everything they could to secure a future for the children. The judge listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. The proceedings stretched into the afternoon, each moment feeling both drawn out and fleeting. Sophia held onto the hope that justice would prevail, that the truth of their family would shine through. Finally, the judge announced a brief recess before delivering the decision. Sophia and Robert stepped outside the courtroom, taking a moment to breathe. The air was cool and fresh, a welcome contrast to the tension of the hearing. Sophia turned to Robert, her eyes reflecting a mix of anxiety and determination. She thanked him for standing by her, for being a steadfast partner in this journey. Robert smiled, his hand finding hers. He assured her that no matter the outcome, they would face it together. The break ended, and they returned to the courtroom. The judge resumed his seat, ready to deliver the verdict. The room was silent, every eye on the bench. Sophia held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. The judge spoke with authority, his words clear and deliberate. He acknowledged the complexity of the case, the emotions involved. Then, he delivered the decision. Sophia was granted full custody of the children, and Mark's legal claims were dismissed. Sophia felt a wave of relief wash over her. The tension in her shoulders eased, replaced by a sense of triumph. Robert squeezed her hand, his own relief evident. They had done it. They had protected their family, secured a future for the children. Mark's reaction was muted, his expression hard to read. But his presence no longer held the power it once did. Sophia watched as he left the courtroom, knowing that this chapter was finally closing. The community's support had been instrumental, their testimonies a cornerstone of the case. Sophia and Robert knew they couldn't have done it alone, and their gratitude was profound. As they left the courthouse, the sun shone brightly overhead. It felt like a new beginning, a chance to move forward without the shadow of fear. Sophia and Robert walked hand in hand, their hearts full. They returned to the farm, where the children awaited them. Mrs. Harris greeted them with a warm smile, the children rushing to their side. Jonah, Lily, and Ben sensed the change, their eyes bright with curiosity. Sophia knelt down, gathering them close. She explained in simple terms that everything was going to be okay, that they were safe and loved. The children hugged her tightly, their trust a precious gift. Robert watched the scene, his heart swelling with emotion. He joined the group, wrapping his arms around them all. They were a family, bound by love and shared experiences. That evening, the farmhouse was filled with laughter and celebration. Neighbors stopped by, offering congratulations and sharing in the joy. It was a reminder of the strength of community, the power of people coming together for a common cause. Sophia and Robert sat together watching the children play. The future felt bright, full of promise and possibility. They knew there would be challenges ahead, but they also knew they were not alone. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Sophia and Robert reflected on their journey. They had faced fear and uncertainty, but they had emerged stronger, their bonds unbreakable. The farm was more than a place of refuge. It was a home, a testament to resilience and hope, and together, they would continue to build a life filled with love and laughter. In that moment, surrounded by the warmth of family and friends, Sophia and Robert knew they had found something truly special. It was a new beginning, a chance to write their own story, one filled with the promise of a brighter tomorrow. With the court case behind them, life on the farm settled into a rhythm of healing and growth. The air felt lighter, as if the weight of the past had finally lifted. Sophia and Robert embraced the future, ready to rebuild and nurture the life they had created together. The children thrived under the stability that now surrounded them. Jonah's interest in farming grew, his questions becoming more detailed as he learned from Robert. He enjoyed the responsibility of helping with the animals, his confidence blossoming with each new task. Lily's curiosity led her to the garden, where she spent hours watching plants grow and learning about nature. She loved the colors and scents of the flowers, her enthusiasm infectious. Sophia often joined her, sharing stories and laughter as they tended to the garden together. Ben, the youngest, was a bundle of energy. He explored every corner of the farm, his imagination turning each discovery into an adventure. He adored the animals, especially the chickens, and spent many happy hours feeding and playing with them. Sophia watched her children with pride and gratitude. They had come so far, their resilience a testament to the love and care they received. She knew that the farm was more than just a place to live. It was a home where they could grow and dream. Robert continued to work the land, his days filled with purpose. The farm was thriving, the fields lush and green. He found joy in the simple tasks, the rhythm of the seasons a comforting constant. He felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that he was part of something meaningful. Sophia and Robert's relationship deepened as they navigated their new life together. They shared their hopes and dreams, finding strength in each other's presence. The bond between them was strong, built on trust and shared experiences. The community remained a source of support and friendship. Neighbors stopped by often, bringing news and conversation. The farm had become a gathering place, a hub of activity and connection. It was a reminder of the power of community, the strength that comes from standing together. As summer unfolded, the farm transformed into a bustling homestead. The garden flourished, its bounty a testament to hard work and care. The children helped with the harvest, their laughter ringing out as they gathered fresh vegetables and fruits. Sophia and Robert worked side by side, their movements synchronized from months of shared tasks. They found joy in the everyday moments, the simple pleasures of farm life. It was a peaceful existence, one filled with love and laughter. The farmhouse, once quiet and empty, was now filled with the sounds of family. Meals were shared at a long table, stories exchanged over steaming bowls of soup and fresh bread. The evenings were spent on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky. Sophia felt a sense of contentment she hadn't known before. She was surrounded by love and support, her children happy and thriving. The fear and uncertainty of the past had faded, replaced by hope and possibility. Robert, too, found peace in their new life. He cherished the family they had become, the bonds that had formed between them. He knew that Emily's memory lived on in the love and kindness they shared, a legacy of warmth and generosity. Together, they began to plan for the future. They talked about expanding the farm, perhaps adding more animals or planting new crops. They dreamed of what could be, their imaginations fueled by the possibilities. The children shared in these dreams, their excitement palpable. Jonah talked about raising sheep, his eyes bright with ideas. Lily imagined a flower garden that stretched as far as the eye could see. Ben wanted more animals, his love for the farm evident in every word. Sophia and Robert encouraged their children's dreams, knowing that they were building a foundation for the future. They wanted the farm to be a place where dreams could grow, where love and laughter thrived. As the days turned into weeks, the farm continued to evolve. The hard work and dedication of the family paid off, each success a step toward their shared goals. The bond between Sophia and Robert strengthened, their partnership a source of comfort and joy. One afternoon, as they sat together on the porch, Robert turned to Sophia. He spoke about his hopes for the future, his desire to make the farm a place of abundance and happiness. He wanted to build a life that honored both the past and the present, a legacy for the children. Sophia listened, her heart full. She understood the importance of what they were creating, the love and care that went into every decision. She knew that they were building something special, a future filled with promise and possibility. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the fields, Sophia and Robert held hands. They watched the children play, their laughter a melody of joy. It was a moment of peace, a reminder of the journey they had taken together. The farm was more than just a place. It was a home, a sanctuary where love and dreams could flourish. Sophia and Robert had found something precious, a sense of belonging and purpose that filled their days with meaning. Together, they faced the future with hope and determination. They knew there would be challenges, but they were ready to meet them. They had each other, the children, and the support of a community that had become family. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Sophia and Robert knew that they were right where they belonged. The past had shaped them, but it no longer defined them. They were building a new story, one filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The farm was in full bloom as spring arrived, bringing with it a sense of renewal. The fields were vibrant, and the garden was a tapestry of colors and scents. Sophia and Robert worked tirelessly, their days filled with the satisfying rhythm of planting and tending. The children were a constant presence, their laughter and energy infusing the farm with life. Jonah was now Robert's right-hand man, eager to learn and quick to help. Lily spent her days in the garden, her hands busy with flowers and herbs. Ben, ever curious, explored every inch of the farm, his imagination turning each discovery into a story. Amidst the busyness of farm life, Robert had been thinking about the future. He felt a deep gratitude for the family they had become, the love that bound them together. He wanted to acknowledge this bond in a special way, something that would symbolize their journey and his commitment to their shared future. One evening, after dinner, Robert sat at the kitchen table with a piece of wood. It was a tradition he and Emily had shared, carving small tokens for special occasions. He hadn't carved anything since Emily had passed, but now it felt right. Sophia watched him work, her curiosity piqued. She didn't ask questions, trusting that Robert would share when he was ready. The children were busy with their bedtime routine, the farmhouse settling into the quiet of evening. As Robert carved, he thought about the life they had built. The farm, once a place of solitude, was now filled with laughter and love. The children had found a home here, and Sophia had become a partner in every sense. They had faced challenges and overcome them, their bond growing stronger with each test. The carving took shape slowly, its form familiar yet new. Robert's hands moved with a steady rhythm, his focus unwavering. He wanted this token to be perfect, a reflection of the love and commitment he felt. When he finished, he set the carving aside, satisfied with his work. It was a simple wooden heart, smooth and warm to the touch. It reminded him of the ones Emily used to make, but this one held new meaning. The next morning, Robert woke early, the sun just beginning to rise. He wanted to give Sophia the wooden heart in a quiet moment, away from the bustle of the day. As the farmhouse stirred to life, he found her in the kitchen, preparing breakfast for the children. Robert approached, the wooden heart in his hand. Sophia looked up, her eyes meeting his. He handed her the heart, his expression earnest and hopeful. She took it, her fingers tracing the smooth surface. Sophia understood the significance of the gesture. It was more than just a token. It was a symbol of their journey, of the love that had grown between them. Her eyes softened, tears gathering as she realized the depth of Robert's commitment. She thanked him, her voice filled with emotion. The heart was a promise, a declaration of the life they were building together. Sophia knew that with Robert, they could face any challenge, create a future full of promise. The children joined them, their laughter filling the kitchen. They admired the wooden heart, their curiosity leading to questions about its meaning. Robert and Sophia shared the story, their words simple but heartfelt. The heart became a cherished symbol for the family, a reminder of their journey and the love that bound them. It was placed on the mantel, a new addition to the farmhouse's story. As the days passed, the bond between Sophia and Robert deepened. They worked side by side, their partnership seamless and strong. The farm continued to thrive, the fields and garden a testament to their hard work and care. The community remained a source of support and friendship. Neighbors visited often, sharing news and laughter. The farm had become a gathering place, a hub of activity and connection. It was a reminder of the strength that comes from unity, the power of people coming together. Sophia and Robert found joy in the everyday moments, the simple pleasures of farm life. They cherished the laughter of the children, the beauty of the land, the warmth of their home. It was a peaceful existence, one filled with love and hope. Together, they dreamed of the future, imagining what could be. They talked about expanding the farm, adding new animals or planting more crops. They wanted the farm to be a place where dreams could grow, where love and laughter flourished. The children shared in these dreams, their excitement palpable. Jonah talked about raising more animals, his eyes bright with ideas. Lily imagined a garden filled with flowers and herbs, each plant a story waiting to be told. Ben wanted more adventures, his love for the farm evident in every word. Sophia and Robert encouraged their children's dreams, knowing that they were building a foundation for the future. They wanted the farm to be a place of abundance and happiness, a legacy of love and care. As spring turned to summer, the farm continued to evolve. The hard work and dedication of the family paid off, each success a step toward their shared goals. The bond between Sophia and Robert strengthened, their partnership a source of comfort and joy. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, Robert spoke about the future. He told Sophia that he wanted her and the children to be a permanent part of his life. It was a simple declaration, but it carried the weight of a promise. Sophia listened, her heart full. She had found something precious on the farm, a sense of belonging and love she hadn't expected. She knew that with Robert, they could face any challenge, build a future full of promise. The farmhouse, once a place of solitude, had become a home filled with laughter and love. It was a testament to the journey they had taken together, the resilience of their spirits. They were a family, bound by choice and strengthened by adversity. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Sophia and Robert knew that they were right where they belonged. The past had shaped them, but it no longer defined them. They were building a new story, one filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The farm was bustling with activity as the day of the celebration arrived. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the fields. Sophia and Robert had planned a small gathering to celebrate their journey and the family they had become. It was a day to honor the bonds that had formed, a testament to love and resilience. The farmhouse was filled with the aroma of fresh-baked bread and pies. Sophia and the children had spent the morning preparing food, their laughter echoing through the kitchen. The table was set with care, ready to welcome their guests. Neighbors and friends from the community arrived, bringing with them a sense of joy and camaraderie. They had been a part of Sophia and Robert's journey, their support unwavering through the challenges and triumphs. Today, they came to celebrate, to share in the happiness that filled the air. The children were excited, their faces alight with anticipation. Jonah, Lily, and Ben had helped decorate the garden, stringing colorful banners and arranging flowers. They looked forward to the festivities, eager to play and share the day with their friends. As the guests gathered, Robert took a moment to reflect. The farm had changed so much since Sophia and the children had arrived. What was once a place of solitude had become a home filled with laughter and life. He was grateful for the journey, for the love that had grown between them. The celebration began with a simple ceremony. Sophia and Robert stood together, surrounded by their family and friends. It was a moment to acknowledge the journey they had taken, the challenges they had overcome, and the love that had flourished. Robert spoke first, his voice steady and filled with emotion. He thanked everyone for their support, for the kindness and generosity that had carried them through difficult times. He spoke of the family they had become, the bonds that had formed, and the future they were building together. Sophia listened, her heart full. She knew the depth of Robert's words, the sincerity of his gratitude. She thought about the journey they had taken, the fears they had faced, and the love that had grown stronger with each passing day. When it was Sophia's turn to speak, she expressed her own gratitude. She thanked the community for embracing them, for standing by them through the ups and downs. She spoke about the joy of watching her children thrive, the peace she had found on the farm, and the love she shared with Robert. The ceremony ended with a sense of unity and hope. The guests applauded, their cheers a celebration of the family that had formed. It was a moment of pure joy, a testament to the power of love and resilience. After the ceremony, the celebration continued with food and laughter. The children played games in the garden, their laughter a melody of happiness. The adults gathered around tables, sharing stories and memories. It was a day of connection, a reminder of the strength that comes from community. Sophia and Robert moved through the gathering, their hearts full. They were surrounded by people who had become family, each one a part of their story. It was a moment to cherish, a reminder of the journey they had taken together. As the afternoon turned to evening, the sky was painted with hues of orange and pink. The farm was alive with music and laughter, the sounds of celebration filling the air. It was a beautiful scene, one that spoke of hope and promise. Sophia and Robert found a quiet moment to themselves, stepping away from the gathering. They stood at the edge of the garden watching the children play. The wooden heart, now a cherished symbol, hung from a tree, catching the light of the setting sun. Robert turned to Sophia, his expression earnest and full of love. He spoke about the future, about the dreams they shared. He wanted to continue building their life together, to create a home filled with love and laughter. Sophia listened, her heart swelling with emotion. She knew the depth of Robert's commitment, the sincerity of his words. She felt a sense of peace, knowing they were building a life filled with promise and possibility. Together, they watched the sun dip below the horizon, the sky turning to twilight. It was a moment of quiet reflection, a time to dream of what could be. They knew there would be challenges ahead, but they were ready to face them together. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Sophia and Robert returned to the celebration. The farm was aglow with lanterns, the laughter of friends and family filling the air. It was a scene of joy, a reminder of all they had achieved. The celebration continued late into the night, a tapestry of music, dance, and laughter. It was a day to remember, a testament to the power of love and the strength of community. As the guests began to leave, Sophia and Robert stood hand in hand, their hearts full. They were grateful for the journey, for the love that had brought them together. The farm was more than just a place. It was a home, a sanctuary where dreams could grow. The farmhouse, once a place of solitude, had become a haven filled with warmth and joy. It was a testament to the journey they had taken, the resilience of their spirits. They were a family, bound by choice and strengthened by adversity. Together, they faced the future with hope and determination. They knew that the past had shaped them, but it no longer defined them. They were building a new story, one filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. As the night deepened, Sophia and Robert stood together, watching the stars. They knew that they were right where they belonged, surrounded by love and possibility. It was a new beginning, a chance to write their own story, one filled with hope and promise. And so, under the starlit sky, they embraced the future, ready to face whatever came next. They were a family, and together they could achieve anything. If you loved the story, like the video and subscribe.